Happy Thursday, everybody. It is official. We have football going on today. Preseason football. It's not Cowboy football, but we'll take it right now because it's been a long time since we've seen some football if we're not talking about practice. But I got my guy Shane as the co-host on the right. How's it going, Shane?
It's always good to be back. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing well since football is back for sure.
Oh,
So,
much better, right?
oh yeah. If you know, it'd be better if we had that weather they got in Oxnard right now in Texas. Because I don't know about you, I'm tired of this 105-degree weather right now.
It's hot across the state. It doesn't matter where in Texas you are. It's just hot in general. Like the coolest parts in Texas right now are up near the Panhandle, and that's like up in the high 90s. Just to give people who maybe ain't from the state or don't live here just an idea of like how hot it is. Now the good news is if you live here long enough, you can adjust to it. It doesn't mean it ain't gonna piss you off.
Oh yeah, you adjust to it and you adapt to it, but you're not like, oh, I just love this weather. Unless you're at the pool.
I like the heat better than I like the cold. I will say that.
Oh really?
Yeah, I can't stand the cold.
I'm the total opposite. Maybe because I'm a December baby. I don't know, but we're not here for that. But we're here to talk about training camp talk.
Stay on point.
Yeah, I'm saying on point. I was gonna go on a tangent. I do that sometimes. But we're here to talk about training camp. We actually got padded practice today. Not today, but we've had it for a little bit. So we're just gonna give our thoughts on what we've seen at practice, and just go on to that. So, what are some like notable players have you noticed in padded practice? So
I mean, I feel like the most notable one everyone's talking about is Brandon Cooks, the connection that he has with Dak. The guy that you pointed out last time as your standout guy. It's continued. And more films coming out there. We see that Gallup has become more healthy. We expect CeeDee Lamb to continue to be a Pro Bowler. We're seeing that sort of like competition for those last couple wide receiver spots. I think Jalen Tolbert right now is kind of leading the pack for like who's going to be that fourth option. Kamante Turpin still giving his he's still showing some not just as a returner but as a receiver. Jalen Moreno-Cropper and Jalen Brooks are making a real competition for that last wide receiver spot. Sidney Falco has had his days. We'll see how that looks. But Brandon Cooks, to me, at least from the stuff that we've seen, I mean, he's looked so far as the best, at least offensive playmaker so far in camp.
I definitely agree. Every time you see every day, he's always consistent, making those big plays, and you just see the efficiency when it comes to his route running. And it's just like if you have the name Jalen for the Dallas Cowboys, you're doing well. If you notice it, it's just like three of them. And then my next one is the big guys, and I'm talking about Mozzie Smith and Big Hank, because you notice when you see Michael Parson and then you see D-Law make those plays, but they got that space now with those big guys in the middle, and just honestly, it's just a breath of fresh air having those type of guys when it comes to the defensive line, the linebackers. They can move more freely with those guys in there, just holding it down. But basically, we kind of got into the guys I was thinking. So I guess we're on the same wave pattern this week when it comes to training camp.
We also got to give a little bit of love, though. But I want to point this out. Deron Bland has really come on strong. Everyone's talking about, and we'll get to this later, Trevon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore maybe being the best combination of outside corners in the game. We knew the Cowboys secondary was going to be a strength. Deron Bland really coming on strong, playing both the first and second teams in the nickel. I do wonder what that means for Jordan Lewis, because Jordan Lewis, like he's coming off injury, but he's still, I would argue, one of the better secondary players. I wonder if maybe he's maybe an option as a safety. I have seen them use him a little more as a high nickel, not just as a pure nickel. I also like. I can't even say I like. I'm disappointed in what I've seen so far from Neville Gallimore, the guy who I call Gallimonster. That's the guy. That's my nickname for him, was Gallimonster, because his rookie year he showed so much promise, but injuries and fatigue and not being in shape, and really just other guys progressing past him have really put him on the chopping block. And right now, if the Cowboys were to keep, I don't know, 5 pure defensive tackles, I can't put him in that list. I would put Bohanna up there. Right now, I would have Mozzie, I would have Hankins, I would have Osa, I would have Golston, who's going to play primarily as a 3-tech this year. He is a tackle now. He can play some edge, but he's a tackle now. And then Bohanna would be that fifth guy. You can count six if you want to count Junior Fajoco, who's going to play more inside and out. He's going to take over that Chauncey Golston role.
Yeah.
But it's an uphill battle for Gallimore, and like nothing from camp, whether it's reports or video, or whatever it is, nothing has indicated that he's anywhere near these other guys. And I don't know what the problem is, but I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah. When it comes to him, he's definitely got to show out. When it comes to these preseason games, he definitely got to be playing because he's on that cusp of not making the team. Because, like you said, all these other guys are surpassing him. Yep. Like, if you're not showing anything in practice or in the game, they're not gonna. They keep like your draft players, but it's when you got all these new guys in there and they showing out, you know they're gonna move on. They may release them or they may trade them, but we got to see what he can do when it comes to the preseason and then further into camp. But but the next thing we're gonna talk about. Oh, my bad.
I wanted to point out one more thing, and that's Deuce Vaughn.
Oh,
you know, with the Ronald Jones suspension, like I don't know if it necessarily meant he was going to be off the team for sure. It definitely made his chances harder. Everyone's talking about Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis getting a lot of looks. Deuce Vaughn, even though he won't be the real running back too, he is the de facto running back too. He is explosive. Every play you see with him, he has the ball in his hands. He doesn't stop. It's something about those shorter leg guys that are super quick, like kind of like a Jakeem Grant or a Tyreek Hill. Those shorter guys who run in small spaces, they can rev up really quick. Kind of reminds me a little bit like a Speedy Gonzalez kind of thing. You're smaller, but he has powerful legs, super fast at the backfoot. And he actually was, in terms of DVOA, he was one of the most productive backs in college last year, adjusting on yards per play. And that means like yards per play in which he was a factor, whether it's as a receiver or as a running back. He was one of the most productive. And, you know, everyone talks about the size in that. The reality is, like, with his skill set, let's be honest, if he was at least 5'9", 5'10", and weighed 200 pounds, we're talking about him maybe being, like, drafted higher than potentially Junior Gibbs. Probably not Bijan. Bijan looks like he's going to be, like the next star running back in this league. But he would definitely be considered more of a top 5 guy. But it's really his size is what held him back. But his skill set, again, it's just now become padded practice. Today was their first day of padded practice. His skill set seems like it could translate into being a viable third option, Swiss Army knife type running back that the league is really leaning towards. Instead of like having like 2 pure guys or one go-to guy, more running back rooms, and the Cowboys are starting to adapt to this. They have their first and second down guy. They have their short yardage guy, and they have their Swiss Army knife guy. And Deuce Vaughn looks like he's going to be a good one.
I can't wait to see what he does this season because I definitely fit he's gonna be in the offense because he even got first team reps today.
He did.
And then another thing, this man's been busy this whole training camp, but he actually was getting some reps at punt return with him and Kevontae Turpin, so you could see them as options at the return game. But I think both of those guys are gonna be some valuable assets to the offense.
And teams don't do this anymore, but I'd like them to have 2 returners back there in punt return. They used to be able to do that, where like you punt to one side, that's the protection. You punt to the other side, that's the protection. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore. You just see they just got one guy there and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like having 2 guys. That is like you don't know which one you're gonna have to deal with on the return game. But the next one is we're talking about. It's not my favorite one, but the Joneses and Zach Martin. So I actually got a quote that Jerry Jones said on that. Let me see if I got it. Okay, it's right here. It has nothing to do with him, Martin. It's not about the precedent. It's about facts. We need the money to pay Michael Parsons. We need the money to pay the players we got in the future. That's a fact. My stance here doesn't mean I'm necessarily a pro owner. I want players to get what they can get, but I'm pro cap, and this is one of these times. Oh, so what is your thoughts on when it comes to the Joneses and Zach Martin getting paid?
Well, one thing I don't really like it when people say that they're pro cap, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm a believer that the salary cap ain't real. Just on the concept that like to what a salary cap is and what the NFL does are 2 totally different things. Like I understand that the salary cap is a concept of like, hey, this is how much money you're allowed to pay your players up to that amount and no more. But there's something to be said about that. It can be manipulated. You can move money down the line. It can be. It's a fluid concept. And so that's why I say the salary cap ain't real, because I understand it's a real thing. But to me, the salary cap is really just bookkeeping, and it's also just a tool that you've been used to justify underpaying players. Because I believe that NFL players should be making more money in America, at least, than basketball players and baseball players. And that's my opinion, because it's the highest viewed sport, the highest grossing sport. They should get paid accordingly to that. NBA player. Jaylen Brown is getting $60 million a year. Okay, I ain't want to put my hands in people's pockets, but if Jaylen Brown is making $60 million a year, Pat Mahomes should be making $100 million a year. Okay, and that should be because he's the biggest star in the league. He's the best player in the league, and so that's the first thing as far as Jones' comments. But also, I will give Jerry the benefit of the doubt in this one concept, and that's that when he wants a player, that he has no trouble in keeping his guys. Zach Martin's been a Cowboy for a decade. He's one of the greatest Cowboys to finish his career. He's going to end his career as either the first or second greatest offensive lineman. Well, I'll say guard, just because like the older generations will argue about like different names.
I was about to say you got to be careful with that one.
I know, but we'll say guard just because he can compete with Larry Allen for who Cowboys fans think is the greatest guard in team history. Because Larry Allen is one of the most dominating players of all time in his position, but the same can be said about Zach Martin. Okay, Larry Allen had the strength that was unstoppable. Zach Martin is just so technically sound, and he's got plenty of power as well. But he just like knows what to do. Everything he does is perfect. I do wonder though, like as the Cowboys move on into this next phase, past 2023, are they going to start saying bye to some of their like more valuable veterans? Because just last week, Trevon Diggs signed his 5-year. Max $104 million contract. Obviously, the incentives will factor into that. Yeah. Michael Parsons is up for a contract extension at the end of the season. CeeDee Lamb next year will be going into his 5th year, and they've already picked up his option. Tyler Biadasz and Terrence Steele are both eligible for extensions right now. And while I would not put them on the same level as Zach Martin, Terrence Steele and Tyler Biadasz have gotten progressively better since they've been drafted. Tyler Biadasz has cemented himself as a franchise level center. Terrence Steele has become in my opinion, the best option at right tackle, even over Tyron Smith. When you had the combination of him and Zach Martin, the Cowboys averaged, I believe, running to that side, over 4 yards per carry in the run game, running to the right. They had more rushing yards to the right side of the offensive line than they did to the left. So it gives you just an idea of what the combination of Terrence Steele and Zach Martin did. Plus, we just saw from a techniques standpoint how much better Terrence Steele got, because he was playing his foot better. He was setting the edge better. I'm talking over myself a little bit.
You're good.
And I wonder like if and also we haven't even talked about Dak Prescott, like his perceived new contract coming up, because his cap hit next year is going to be almost $60 million. So obviously they're going to want to not restructure. They're going to want to extend him to move that down the line, because they want to keep all their star players. And I do wonder if they think that as they gear away from this era of Pro Bowl offensive linemen like Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, La'el Collins, who's Pro Bowl. He never made a Pro Bowl. He was Pro Bowl level at his best with the Cowboys. If they're more into this era of, we don't have Pro Bowlers, but we have really good starters who know what they're doing. Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, maybe Asim Richards, Terrence Steele. These guys will make the Pro Bowl just based on their uniform. I don't know if any of them are ever actually going to be the best in their position, but they're all technically sound. And Asim Richards, is to be decided. But I do wonder that if Jerry is really looking forward towards the future, because that really kind of annoys me that he would make that comment about Zach Martin, but they had no problem about giving Tyron Smith another one more chance. Even though, and this is true, he in the last, I believe, 4 seasons, he has missed enough games to occur over 2 full 17-game schedule seasons. He's missed a lot. He has not played a full season since before Dak was drafted. The last time he played full season, Dak was in Mississippi State. But he's another one of those players like Sean Lee that just can't seem to let go of. Zach Martin, who is still, I would say the best guard in football, still playing at an elite level. First like Hall of Fame. If you're going to sign any offensive lineman, if you had to pick one between Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele, who to give the extension to first, I would say Zach Martin, even though last week I said that the center position is the most. Yeah, I said last week that the center position is the second most valuable spot on the offensive line behind the blindside tackle. But Zach Martin is still playing at an elite level, and if you have an elite offensive lineman, you have to keep him. What's their backup option? Josh Ball, TJ Bass, who I like, but he's an undrafted rookie out of Oregon. I like he has like a hot. I think he has decent ceiling. He has really low floor though. There's a reason why. They don't have a whole lot of options at right guard. Zach Martin has given the Cowboys a blessing of relief at right guard for a decade. And I don't even it doesn't necessarily need to be like a 5-year deal. If they want to give him like a 3-year extension, something like that, which will lead him into his by then mid-30s, and he still played the level he is, then I'm more than okay with that. But I don't like how it seems that Jerry's kind of giving these little Jerryism answers, where he's just kind of like saying, "Oh shucks, I really do appreciate what Zach has done for the organization." But at the end of the day, you have certain players that they have to be able to come to an understanding that as much as you may want your whole slice of the pie, everybody's got to be able to eat, because if everybody eats, then nobody eats. And if one person gets one piece bigger than the other, then that person starves. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Hey, you just got to have – that was a good impersonation. You just got to have some uhs and ums in there, and then there's a spot on.
It's all about the timing of in between, because he didn't just talk. He talks, and he also kind of lowers and raises his voice a little bit. Plus he has like a Matthew McConaughey thing where he like whistles his essence. He's like, time is a flat surface. Everything you done has been done. What's it? However he says it.
Yeah, I heard some before, but they be sounding like that. Was that Colonel off of the Water Boy when they do impersonations of him? And I'm like, y'all gotta slow it down and do a little more drawl into it. Not saying I do declare, but
yeah. Plus, that's a Georgia thing. I don't know why he was doing Louisiana.
Yeah, I don't know. But when it comes to like Zach Martin, he's basically the nucleus when it comes to our offensive line.
Yes.
Like he's an Iron Man on that team. He's barely missed any games, and he just having that guy, like you said, just get him to like a short extension where he can get paid a little bit more for a couple years. Into them last year, okay, he's not going to get the highest paid because he's going to be 35 or 36. But I think right now he still can be a hell of an offensive line for this team because he's still playing at a high level. It's not like there's no thing where you're saying, well, he was kind of a slump. Like, no, he was still playing at a high level.
The slump for him was him still being the best right guard in the game.
Yeah, like I can't think of a bad year of Zach Martin in his prime.
If that was his worst year,
I'll take it.
That's better than 90% of the right guards in the NFL.
Yeah, you don't, because when it comes to offensive line, if you look at the free agents right now, there's not one guy that's like that you're gonna like, okay, he's an automatic Pro Bowler. A lot of them are injured or they're older guys.
Not even a Pro Bowler, just a starter. Not even a Pro Bowler, just a starter.
Yeah, they're fringe guys. They're like
when you have an offensive lineman, you don't let them go.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like when there's really good offensive line, they usually stay for 8 to 10 years or more if they're blessed enough to be there. Like you keep these guys. Like do Zach right and sign him. But I hope by next week we're talking about Zach Martin got his extension, because I know we've been almost like, come on, we need to sign Zach. But and our third topic is, this one's hilarious to me because a lot of media has been over this, like overdoing it. So Trayvon Diggs versus Dak is really no versus or nothing like that, but I just want to put my tangent on it. I know you've been around football and you played it as well. Has there been any scuffles like during a summer practice or anything like that? You may call your teammate a B word or say this to him and stuff, and then like at the end of practice, y'all just shaking and say, "It's all good, bro," and everything at the end of the day.
Not just my teammates, my brothers. I
Yeah,
call my brother a word that I don't know if I can say on the podcast. I don't know what TV rating you want to say, but we give this
it's PG
podcast.
13, so we'll
Okay.
keep it right there.
Okay, well, he would be a BAMF. You can use your imagine. I would call him a BAMF, but at the end of the day, he knows I would take a bullet and I would give a bullet for him. That's love. That's brotherhood. Dak and Trayvon are fine. They are noted, not just teammates but friends. I mean, everyone remembers some Hard Knocks when Dak got to meet his son Aiden, and Aiden thought he was Patrick Mahomes, which was one of the cutest things ever.
Yeah,
Aiden was the star of that season. But that's the way it is in football, especially in the heat. Okay, everyone's hot, everyone's already heated, and Dak just ran a 15-yard scramble to the outside, which probably would have been a touchdown. And Dak's going to talk trash to his own team, and the team's going to talk trash back to him. Iron sharpens iron. Okay, and any player out there, especially ex-NFL players, who think that sort of thing doesn't happen, is either lying or they're lying to themselves. Okay. Because whether you're Dan Orlovsky or as I like to call him Hermie the Elf because he looks like Hermie the Elf, like I don't know what you're hearing out of Dallas, but the reality is, and I tweeted this out, everything you're hearing out of Dallas, you're just reading off of Philly Twitter, okay? Because I don't think he has any source in Dallas except maybe a relative who happens to live in the city and is listening to the radio. That or he's making stuff up. And as far as LaShawn McCoy goes, I'm gonna bring this one up. He's ass as an analyst. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. Everything that these analysts say as far as like this fight goes, no one ever said a damn thing. When just a couple weeks ago, Josh Allen got into it with his teammate. Okay, people swept it under the bus after a week after Tom Brady was chewing out his coaches and his teammates on the sidelines and back and forth. Everyone forgot about the fact that Pat Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy got into a war of words last year. Okay? And people were talking about, if you're the quarterback, you're not respected if that kind of thing happens. The quarterbacks talk trash. Everyone talks back to the quarterback. Okay? It's part of being on a team. Okay? Yeah. I don't know where all of a sudden like the rules changed or people just suddenly forgot.
Yeah, I could take it back even a little bit more. Peyton Manning going at it with Jeff Saturday.
Yes. Oh my God. And those two are like the best of friends. They have nothing but love for each other.
Yeah, it's football. Like these people, they see each other every day. They go, they eat, they're roommates for weeks on weeks in training camp. You don't think they're not going to let some steam off? And
if you ever played football and that never happened to you, it probably meant that you weren't liked. It probably meant that you weren't even good. Okay, because if no one ever talked trash to you like that, it meant that you weren't on the field that could talk trash to you like that.
Yeah, it's football, and it's like this. I think people are just doing it because they're just for clicks. They're just like the algorithm, like it's talking about the Cowboys.
Now I'll give you one example in which case, like you could say they didn't respect the quarterback. You remember a couple of years ago, Geno Smith got punched in the face by IK.
Think about that one.
Impali, I believe his name is IK Impali. He punched him in the face because he was talking mess, all right? But Geno Smith didn't earn the trust and the respect of his teammates at that point, okay? You don't think Dak Prescott has earned that trust and respect? And people want to make it a segment because it's true. And we see this proof all around the internet and all around media and all of these articles. Any talking point they can get from the Cowboys is worth mentioning. Because whether you like them or not, you want to know about them. And the reality is that most of the Cowboys Nation, not all of Cowboys Nation, the irrational Cowboys fans are like, no, I want more Cowboys content, whether it's stupid or not. The rational Cowboys fans actually don't want all that attention. This has been the most quiet offseason in Dallas in a long time. Like last year, Jerry was here for a paternity suit. Did everyone just forget about that?
Jerry was wild last year.
Not only were they fighting the cap and the cap was winning, but the team was getting clearly worse talent wise, and there was all kinds of off the field stuff coming about. All right, and we didn't even mention that Kelvin Joseph and that saga.
Ooh.
And now this year the biggest black eye, if you want to call it, this offseason that's happened has been the Zach Martin contract talks. And if that resolves itself, then that resolves itself. There's been nothing. People want there to be drama coming out of Dallas because the reality is they know how talented this team is. They know this team is a true contender. And if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, all these talking heads you see on these 3 and 4 letter networks will have nothing to go off of, and they'll have to eat crow, and they better eat it raw.
That's what I'm waiting for. One thing I forgot to do was show love to our sponsors. And first sponsor we got to show love to is Water Clean Solutions. You need to get your carpets clean, couches, towels, and grout. Moving in and moving out to need to get that place to look new. Call What a Clean Solution, a family-owned mobile service that can clean anything from a small carpet to even making your car or truck look brand new. Give them a call at 210-790-1410 and use the promo code TNT for 5% off your total cleaning. And right at the bottom, you can check that out, and let's get back into it.
Let's have the last segment be sponsored by have our last sponsor cover the last segment. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we could do that. So we got to show love to our new sponsor, SeatGeek. Life's event. We have tickets, concert, games, shows, and more. Use promo code all caps tacos touchdown and get you $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, a ticket for every fan.
Every fan.
Every fan. If you're not even if you're just showing support and you're not a sports fan, they got concerts and anything for you.
Maybe you're our friend of the show, Jess Navarez, who's now with Pro Football Network, and we wish her the best. Maybe you're a Taylor Swift fan, and you think, oh, if only this was $20 less. Well, now it is, Jess. Now it is.
Absolutely. So we're getting into our last one. I think this is a fun one, but the Jonathan Taylor. So when it comes to Jonathan Taylor and just running backs in general, I just want to put this statement that what Jim Irsay said. If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor's out of the league, no one's going to miss us. And the league goes on. We know that. The national NFL rolls on. It doesn't matter who comes and who goes. And it's a privilege to be a part of it. So he basically just gave Jonathan Taylor the middle finger. Like, when he's gone, he's going to be irrelevant. Like, this guy's 24 years old. We're not talking about a 30-year-old running back at the end of his career. So, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, my thing about that is, like, I don't know what's up with these owners trying to downplay these running backs. Do you use them up and everything, and then you just throw them to the wayside? Like, they done all this work for you, and then you just, I don't know. It pisses me off when I see stuff like that.
Once upon a time, the running back position was actually the most coveted position in football. All the Madden cover athletes were running backs. There would be a few exceptions here and there. Michael Vick, like everyone remembers Mike Vick on the cover of the 04 Madden game. That was the one everyone keeps pointing to.
Oh, absolutely.
But for the most part, it's been a running back. The stars of the leagues were running backs: Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Edwin James, Marshall Faulk, Curtis. I forgot his name. Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin. Yeah, Curtis Jackson. He said. Anyway, but no, the running back position is devalued. Now, as far as Jonathan Taylor goes, just in terms of like how good he is, he had a down year last year. He really did.
He did.
But the Colts in general had a down year last year. We have to call a spade a spade. That team didn't look good across the board. They had a few decent players. The Cowboys were able to grab one of them off their hands for a fifth-round pick.
Thank you.
Yep, we appreciate that. But the Colts were very much still in a rebuild, and they're still going through all this. Okay, so we can't put it all on him. That offensive line was hurt, and it didn't look all that good to even give him any kind of holes. And a running back is only as good as his offensive line. Not every running back can be Barry Sanders and just avoid tackles at will. But as far as the Cowboys, I don't know if I like the fit. I know you disagree because I know how big of a fan you are, and I'm interested to hear why you think he would fit. But I think the Cowboys already have enough money invested and enough talent right now, even invested in the running back position with Tony Pollard, with Malik Davis versus Rico Dowdle, and with Deuce Vaughn, who I think will be the real running back two, but won't play the running back two role. I think he'll be much more of a gadget player, at least his rookie season, play a lot of special teams. Jonathan Taylor, if you get him, he's your workhorse back, and they want that to be Tony Pollard. And if they really wanted to supply themselves with better depth at running back, Leonard Fournette's still out there. Kareem Hunt's still out there. Ezekiel Elliott, who they won't they won't close the door on fully, is still out there.
It's a little open.
So they have options. But I know how much of a Jonathan Taylor fan you are. So why do you think he fit? Why do you think you want him on?
I'm a fan of Jonathan Taylor because he brings that explosive and power, and he could bring that goal line ability. But then I'm looking at the fact that he's on a 1-year deal for 4.3, and then you got a franchise tag with Tony Pollard. And
it's an all-in move.
Yeah, it's like next year, who are you going to pick at the end of the day? You would think you go both of them. Hey, but they're not gonna do that. You know, they would show more. They're about their home players, and they would go
They
to pop.
might. They
They
might if they're willing to play hardball with Zach Martin. Do you think they're gonna even like entertain a pair of running backs?
they they've been surprising us lately, especially with the Zach Martin. I thought that had been done after 2 days, but now they're holding on for a while. So that's an automatic surprise when it comes to that. But if we don't get Jonathan Taylor, I'm not gonna lose any sleep. I like the guys when it comes to Malik Davis and then possibly Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn. Like that's a good running back room with Pollard. Like
But I know you want JT, don't you? I know you do.
I do, but I got to put the logical hat on. Like we got running backs.
Forget the logical thing for a second. Forget the logical thing for a second.
Yeah.
I know down in your heart of hearts as a fan, you want Jonathan Taylor, okay?
I,
What is the one thing that Jonathan Taylor can do that no other running back the Cowboys have can't do? What's the one thing?
it's between outside of Pollard, he's got the production, but the thing is he got the ankle and the back thing. I don't that's just a flat out lie, just what the coach are doing. But we already got the running back. It pains me, but I want Jonathan Taylor, but we do got the running backs, and I can't. There's not like a significant difference when it comes to like, okay, what does he bring what we don't have?
So I think everything Jonathan Taylor can do, Tony Pollard can do. Maybe not in the same capacity of like 200 plus carries, because last year Tony Pollard had 199 carries. That was the most carries he's had in his career. I think if you bring him in, it's because you want that 1-2 punch you had with Zeke.
Yeah.
But to me, Jonathan Taylor is just like a slightly bigger version of Tony Pollard. I think he has more power. I think Tony Pollard's faster. I think they're both decent receivers. But I think really that's the same type of running backs. You're really just like what you're doing is like you're bringing on another guy, just to run the same scheme you would with Tony. Like he didn't really do anything different that another guy didn't already have. He didn't have. I would argue Malik Davis has more power. I would say Deuce Vaughn's faster. I would say right now that even Tony Pollard's a better receiver. Now, to be fair, I think Jonathan Taylor is a good amalgam of all three of those players. But right now, they're making a Jonathan Taylor backfield with three different running backs. 4 if you want to count Hunter Luepke, but he's going to be a fullback / short yardage running back. But I know that you as a fan, you want all the good players. Anytime a good player is mentioned, you want them on the Cowboys. And I think it's just because the Cowboys are still attached to Dalvin Cook, and I think the Cowboys are going to entertain that concept.
Yeah.
I actually would rather have Dalvin Cook than Jonathan Taylor, even though Dalvin Cook's going to cost me money, because Dalvin Cook, what he gives you is more power out of the backfield than Jonathan Taylor. But that's just me. I don't see how he would fit in this scheme in terms of like what you can get from him that you don't already have. That's the thing.
And yeah, you want a running back that separates from your starter, like you're saying. The only difference you see from Tony Pollard and Jonathan Taylor, he's more of a powerful back. He's I think about 5'10", about 220 something. He's a bigger running back as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony's about 6 foot, about 210 or 215. So there's not a big huge difference between the running backs. But I'm gonna be fine with the running back room we got, and especially if Luke's gonna step as a short yardage back. I'm gonna be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm that Cowboy fan. When I see a player, I'm like, oh, I could imagine him in a.
You want all the shiny toys. I got you.
Yeah, I want Christmas every month.
Let's give the Cowboys 3 or 4 games into the season before we start talking about trades. Let's see what the offense looks like. And then if there's like one of the worst running teams in the NFL and that's really holding the offense back, then we can explore.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be the worst running back room. We could have. I think we got a solid.
Oh, I think we were. I said if we become one of the worst.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if that happened because I just like the run back room we got. But tomorrow, before we end the show, I'm gonna be at Seguin High School posting some content on the Instagram and everything from their practice and everything. So y'all definitely go check that out on IG. So I'm gonna be posting stuff on the story. Be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's like football, high school all over again. So, yes, sir. So, do you have anything going on, Shane?
Not yet. I have an announcement coming up later on next week.
Okay.
for all the Cowboys fans out there.
All right.
But I can't say anything just yet. More than likely, this show will come out before the announcement. So whoever's listening to it, because I know a lot more people listen to our show after the fact and see it live. You can just be on the lookout for that. It is exciting for me.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have that drum roll going on and everything. I might get a whole drum for you and everything. So yes, sir. But I appreciate y'all for coming and watching us. We'll definitely be back Thursday for another great episode. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Peace out, Cowboys Nation.